Liam Carter never heard the footsteps behind him, never heard the door creak open, and never heard the intruder breathe, but that's because Liam was born deaf. In the quiet town of Willow Creek, where crime was almost unheard of, Liam's silence became both his greatest vulnerability and, in the end, his greatest strength. What began as a quiet evening alone quickly turned into a deadly game of survival against a predator known only as the Phantom. And in a world without sound, Liam had to rely on instincts sharper than hearing to escape with his life. Liam Carter was 12 years old when everything changed. From the day he was born, Liam had lived in silence. He had never heard his mother's lullabies or his father's laughter. There was no music in his world, no barking dog, no chirping birds to wake him in the morning. The world moved around him in a rush of sound that he could never experience, but Liam had learned to adapt. He became skilled at reading lips, studying every movement, every twitch of expression, until he could almost feel what others were trying to say. He was also a talented artist, always sketching superheroes who could do the impossible, who could fight evil and protect the weak. Liam liked to think of them as the voices he never had, strong and fearless. His parents, Mark and Rachel, loved him deeply. They worried about him more than other parents might because they knew their boy couldn't hear danger coming. They installed special alarms with flashing lights and made sure Liam knew every safe place in their home. Went to a regular school where he had a sign language interpreter, and he was clever enough to keep up with every lesson. Most days, Liam seemed like any other kid, except for that deep, quiet world that belonged only to him. Life in Willow Creek was peaceful, almost boring. The town was small, with rows of neat houses, big oak trees lining the streets, and a friendly community where everyone knew everyone. Liam loved how familiar it was, how predictable. There was comfort in routine, knowing he could safely ride his bike to the corner store or draw superheroes on his bedroom floor without worrying about the world outside. He trusted Willow Creek. Nothing ever happened there. Nothing ever changed. One October afternoon, the air was crisp and cool, carrying the smell of fallen leaves. Liam was working on his newest hero, a character who could fly faster than light and save children in danger. His pencils were scattered around him as he lost himself in drawing, trying to perfect the angle of the hero's powerful fist. Barely noticed his parents getting ready to leave. They signed to him that they would only be gone for an hour to buy groceries. Liam nodded without looking up, confident he could handle being alone for that short time. He had done it before and liked the independence it gave him. As their car pulled away, Liam stayed busy. His mind was full of color and action, and he didn't sense the shift in the air that day. If he could have heard, maybe he would have caught the faint creak of the back gate, the almost silent click of a door handle turning, but Liam heard nothing. The world to him was exactly as it had always been, calm, still, safe. That was how he liked it, and that was how he expected it to stay. But beyond his window, danger was slipping closer. Willow Creek, so peaceful and trusting, was about to learn that monsters sometimes walk through unlocked doors. And Liam, lost in his drawings, had no way of hearing death approach. People in Willow Creek had always believed their town was too small for real crime. But that belief had started to crack when strange stories began to spread. First, there were reports of stolen tools, missing bicycles, and toys vanishing from porches. Neighbors blamed mischievous teenagers, or maybe someone desperate passing through. But soon it was clear this was no harmless prank. Homes were being broken into at night. Nothing valuable seemed to be stolen, but the intruder left behind a creeping chill that spread through every house. People talked in hushed voices about a shadow no one could catch, someone who never left a fingerprint or a boot mark. They called him the Phantom because he slipped through the night unseen, unheard, and untraceable. Children began to sleep closer to their parents. Dogs barked more. Doors were locked tighter, but the Phantom still found a way inside. Each break-in seemed more dangerous than the last. As if the stranger was testing how far he could go, Liam's parents had heard the stories too. They double-checked the locks every evening and reminded Liam where the panic button was in case he ever felt scared. They explained again how the flashing alarm would call for help even if he couldn't hear it. Liam paid attention, but in truth, he still felt safe. Willow Creek was his home. It was the place where he rode his bike without worry, where the neighbors smiled at him kindly, where everyone waved to him at the corner store. He refused to believe someone so dangerous could be walking its peaceful streets. That Saturday evening, Mark and Rachel decided to leave for a quick grocery run before dinner. The fridge was nearly empty, and Liam didn't mind staying home. He wanted to finish a drawing of a hero who could hear things from miles away, protecting people with his sharp senses. Liam thought it was funny, creating a hero with a gift he himself would never have, as they signed goodbye and told him to. Lock the doors? Liam nodded and focused on the details of his superhero's costume. He barely noticed the back gate, hanging just a little loose on its hinge, swinging softly in the breeze. He didn't hear the soft scuff of footsteps on the back path or the faint rattle of a window latch being tested. The Phantom had chosen his next target, and he saw the perfect opportunity in a boy who couldn't hear him coming. Outside, the sun was beginning to set, making the house glow with golden light. Liam's pencils moved quickly across the paper as he imagined impossible feats of bravery. He was safe, he told himself, and nothing bad ever happened in Willow Creek. But the Phantom had learned enough about the town to know where parents went on Saturday evenings, which houses were left unguarded, and which children might be the easiest prey. As Liam worked on the powerful eyes of his new hero, the Phantom quietly lifted the latch of the back door and stepped inside. Liam didn't sense anything was wrong at first. The house felt exactly the same, familiar and warm, the walls lined with his school awards and superhero posters. His sketchbook was open on the floor, colored pencils scattered around him, focused on shading the muscles of the hero he was drawing, making sure every line was perfect. The peacefulness of that moment wrapped around him like a soft blanket, making him feel safe. Completely unaware that something in the house had changed, the Phantom had already stepped inside. He closed the back door behind him without a sound and stood still, letting his eyes adjust. He watched the boy from the hallway, studying him carefully. The Phantom had broken into many homes before, but this was the first time he had picked a deaf child. In his twisted mind, Liam seemed like an easy target, a boy who wouldn't hear footsteps, who wouldn't call for help in time. Liam kept drawing, lost in his own quiet world. He didn't see the dark shape moving closer, didn't notice the slight movement of the hallway shadows. The Phantom was patient, creeping forward inch by inch, testing each floorboard before putting his weight on it. He was a hunter, and Liam was the prey. A gust of wind rattled the curtains, and Liam finally turned around to close the window. That's when he saw the stranger in the doorway. Dressed in dark clothes, with a black mask over his face, the Phantom stood perfectly still, just watching him. For a moment, Liam froze. His mind refused to believe what he was seeing. The world had always been safe. That was what he had told himself. But now, standing just a few steps away, was proof that his world could break apart in a second. Fear hit Liam so hard that he dropped his pencil. The Phantom began moving toward him, each step measured, slow, steady. Liam's heart pounded as he backed away, trying to figure out what to do. He remembered everything his parents had taught him, the flashing alarm, the panic button, the safe places to hide. But the Phantom was blocking the doorway, cutting him off from the hall. Liam glanced at the window, the only way out. His mind screamed at him to run, dove for the window and started climbing onto the sill, hoping he could slip out and get to the neighbor's house. But before he could swing his legs outside, the Phantom lunged forward, grabbing him by the ankle and yanking him back into the room. Liam crashed to the floor, dazed, breath knocked from his chest. The Phantom's hands closed around Liam's arm with frightening strength. Liam kicked wildly, trying to break free, his mind racing. He had to get to the alarm. He had to do something. As the Phantom leaned closer, Liam caught sight of the hallway beyond the intruder's shoulder, and a desperate idea sparked in his brain. If he could just get past the doorway, there might still be a chance to save himself. Liam's body moved before his fear could stop him. With every bit of strength he had, he twisted his arm free from the Phantom's grip and crawled toward the hallway. The man lunged after him, grabbing at his shirt, but Liam slipped through his fingers and scrambled to his feet. His legs shook, but he forced them to move. He knew the alarm panel was just around the corner, just a few feet that suddenly felt like a mile. The hallway lights were off, and the shadows blurred Liam's vision, but he didn't stop. He could feel the presence behind him, the rush of air as the phantom chased after him, silent but deadly. Liam didn't need to hear him, could feel the danger, the terror closing in like a dark wave. He reached the wall and slammed his hand against the keypad. His fingers fumbled, but he found the large red panic button and pressed it hard. At first, nothing happened. Then, brilliant flashes of red light exploded across the ceiling. The security system had been designed with Liam in mind, used powerful strobes instead of sirens, filling the house with bursts of light that flickered like lightning. Outside, the same flashing lights poured from the windows, alerting the neighbors and triggering nearby porch cameras. Liam couldn't hear the alarm, but he saw the glow reflecting off the walls, bright and urgent. The phantom froze. For the first time, he looked unsure, caught in the blinding rhythm of red flashes. He turned to run, but the strobe lights disoriented him. Liam stood breathless against the wall, watching as the man stumbled back into the bedroom. In his panic, the intruder's foot caught the edge of Liam's open sketchbook. His weight shifted, and he slipped, crashing hard into the corner of the desk. The thud shook the floor. The phantom didn't get back up. Liam stood frozen for a moment, unsure. If it was real, then he turned and ran to the front door, flinging it open wide. Across the street, neighbors were already outside, drawn by the strange lights and the silent cry for help. One of them, Mr. Ramirez, saw Liam's pale face and sprinted over a phone. In hand, within minutes, flashing red and blue lights from police cars replaced the security alarm's glow. Officers rushed into the house and found the man unconscious, bleeding slightly from the head. He was cuffed, searched, and taken away. Liam sat on the front steps, still shaking. The cold air stung his skin, but it felt real. He watched the lights. The people, the commotion, all happening without sound. It was like watching a movie on mute, except this time he was the main character. Not a superhero on paper, not a helpless boy. He had seen danger and acted fast, even when everything in his world was silent. He hadn't heard death coming, but he had stopped it anyway. The days after the attack felt like a blur for Liam. Police came in and out of the house, asking his parents questions and taking photographs of everything: the back door, the hallway, even the sketchbook that had saved him in the end. Reporters tried to get a look at him, eager for a headline about the deaf boy who outsmarted a monster. But Liam didn't feel like a hero. All he could think about was how close he had come to being another victim. His parents held him tightly, signing over and over how proud they were, how brave he had been. Liam wanted to believe it. Part of him did. After all, he had remembered the panic button and trusted the system, even when fear nearly took over. That one move had saved his life. But another part of him couldn't shake the nightmare of turning around and seeing a masked stranger standing in his doorway, watching him in perfect silence. It haunted him whenever he closed his eyes. The memory of that frozen second, of realizing that even his quiet world was not safe. The police later told his parents the phantom had been moving from town to town for years, slipping into homes at night and terrifying families. He hardly ever took money or valuables. He liked the power, the fear. Liam was exactly the kind of target he wanted, vulnerable, alone, and unable to hear him coming. But the phantom hadn't counted on Liam's courage or on the bright flashing alarm meant to protect him. It was a mistake that ended his long string of crimes. As the news spread, neighbors started dropping off cards and small gifts, praising Liam for his quick thinking. The mayor even sent a certificate with a gold seal, naming Liam a local hero. At first, Liam didn't know what to do with the attention, but slowly, it began to heal him. He realized that telling the story of what happened made him stronger, not weaker. When he shared the details with the interpreter at school, his classmates looked at him with wide, amazed eyes. For the first time, Liam felt like one of his superheroes, someone who fought back against evil and won. One evening, sitting at his desk again, Liam picked up a fresh page and began drawing. This time, he created a new hero, inspired by his own story. This hero had no superhearing, but had a heart so brave that nothing could break him. He gave the character a bright red symbol on his chest, just like the flashing lights that had saved him. As he colored in the lines, Liam felt calmer, the fear fading just a little bit each time he sketched. Willow Creek slowly went back to normal. Neighbors fixed their locks, families grew closer, and Liam's parents watched him even more carefully, but with new pride in their eyes. Liam knew the world would never be perfectly safe, but now he trusted himself to survive it. He was the boy who couldn't hear death coming, but he refused to let it take him. And in his own quiet way, he had become the hero he always dreamed of being.